Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Wake.Show. I am Chris Fisher. Welcome, friends, family, acquaintances, and everybody around the world. How you doing this morning, Sam?
I'm doing good.
This is, let me get my logo up there. Let's make sure everything is right. This is the Wake.Show, and this is where we go through the news of the day. And this is something that I started with my good friend Kurt Schreiner last year. But where we go through the news of the day so you can be informed, learn some stuff, know some stuff, and but we try not to get too angry or depressed while doing it. That is the key. We try to stay right in here. We'll go over stuff you should know today. We got a really cool social experiment to run by you from our good friends at Art International, and they deal specifically with those with PTS. They don't say D, PTS. In the mental health community, they are starting to drop the D more and more. It depends when it comes, I guess, specifically to this category. Not putting in the disorder category. So we'll go over their social experiment, talk a little bit to them about what they have going on, but we want to get to good morning, Kevin. How you doing, cousin? Friends and family. I said friends and family.
Hey.
We appreciate you guys sharing and liking, but most importantly, what do they have to do, Sam?
They have to like the page and follow it.
Follow the page.
Both.
Yeah, like and follow?
Yes.
All right, so like and follow. How you doing? Good morning, Elliot. Drop that D, Kevin says. All right, we'll drop that D. And we'll come back to stuff you should know. Or let me just go ahead and lay it out for you. I want to get to Roy quickly, too, because the Grammys are this weekend, and I want to get his...
Oscars.
Damn it. The Oscars are this weekend. I want to get his thoughts on that. But we do have breaking news right now. There's an active shooter situation that is happening at the University of... or Central Michigan. At Central Michigan, I guess those students are preparing to head out to spring break. Mm-hmm. It's a 20,000 student campus that are enrolled there, and we don't have a lot of details except that 2 people have been shot and killed.
But they were not students.
And they were not students, so that is the latest on that. Let's hit on this day, and then you guys can switch places there, Sam.
Okie dokie.
All right, here's the thing. The reason that we do on this day has everything to do with me. And how you doing, Keith? Good morning, Sean. Has everything to do with when I was growing up and listening to the radio. My 2 favorite things listening to the radio was hearing the baseball scores in the morning, because I needed to know whether or not the Atlanta Braves won or lost. And this was the 80s, so they lost. And then hearing the on this day, and I don't know why, because I was a kid. You would think, kids aren't usually into that kind of stuff, but for some reason it would have put things into perspective, and I loved that moment. It helped me see where I was in space and time. And so I thought I'd bring it up again, ran it by Sam, because she, at 21 years old, being a millennial, much more hip than I wanted to make sure that it could pass, because if she's like, dude, this is stupid, this is old man stuff, nobody cares about what happened on this day, then I probably would have dropped it. But she seems to be going along with it so far, so it's gonna stay for the time being. So here's what we do. I'll run through things that catch my eye. If it's something that interests you, I'll click on it. We'll learn a little bit more about it. If not, we'll just move on.
Cool.
On this day in 1904, Dr. Seuss was born. 1904. Theodore Geisel is his name, or Geisel. Better knows the world as Dr. Seuss, the author and illustrator of such beloved children's books as Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham, was born in Springfield, Massachusetts. Geisel, I don't know. I don't even know his real last name. Do you know how to say his last name, Roy?
Seuss.
Yeah, Seuss.
It looks like Geisel.
Geisel? Mm-hmm. Not Giselle.
Giselle.
Who used his middle name, which was also his mother's maiden name, as his pen name, wrote 48 books, including some for adults, that have sold well over 200 million copies and been translated into multiple languages. I don't know what it is about Dr. Seuss, but there's something about Dr. Seuss that I feel like I connect with, and I don't know. I'm not sure why. Maybe because he's half crazy. Maybe that's how I connect to them. One of the things I've always loved, too, is if you ever go out to Universal Studios and do their, is that Adventure Island? What do they call that? The second park, the other park.
Islands of
Adventure, thank you.
Yes.
And you go to the Dr. Seuss land that they have out there. One of the things they told us as they were walking us through is that you'll notice there's no straight lines, because I guess the way that he saw things, there's no straight lines. So there's no straight lines in his art, and there's no straight lines as you go through that land. Everything is bent and crooked so that it fits Dr. Seuss's eye. The American Revolution on this day in 1776, the Siege of Boston. Ford celebrates. On this day in 1966, automotive-wise, Ford celebrates its 1 millionth Mustang on this day in 1966. Nothing else jumping out at me. How about you? Sam Houston was born 1793.
I thought I saw something
Isn't Sam
about...
Houston up for an Oscar this weekend?
Sam Houston?
I'm just kidding. Sam Houston, born in 1793.
Nice.
If you scroll up, I think there's something about... I'm not sure if I just heard you say it, but the Congress abolishes the African slave trade.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I didn't skip over it on purpose, I swear. 1807, the U.S. Congress passes an act to prohibit the importation of slaves into any port or place within the jurisdiction of the United States from any foreign kingdom, place, or country. Oh, that is fascinating to me, because look at the date on that. That's 30 years before, over 30 years before the Civil War. And in 1807, so yeah, here's a part of history that I don't even know anything about. The first shipload of African captives to North America arrived at Jamestown, Virginia. That was August of 1619. But for most of the 17th century, European indentured servants were far more numerous in North America, British colonies, than were African slaves. However, after 1680, the flow of the indentured servants sharply declined, leading to an explosion in the African slave trade. All right. Well, that's a positive story there.
Elliot seems to think that Dr. Seuss was not a great person. And reading what he posted, I kind of agree.
Oh, no.
That's
he
true.
openly cheated on his wife
when
she was dying of cancer, and she committed... Oh,
that's kind of horrific.
Damn. He openly cheated on his wife while she was dying of cancer, and she committed suicide because of it. Well, I guess I don't relate to Dr. Seuss anymore. That crazy bastard. Oh, well, on this day in 1962, Wilt Chamberlain famously scored 100 points. Today, let's see.
Puerto Ricans became U.S. citizens.
In 1917, Puerto Ricans became U.S. citizens and recruited so he could recruit them for the war effort.
Yeah.
Oh, USA, USA, USA. So that is on this day. Thank you so much, Sam. You go ahead and transfer to the couch there, and we'll have Roy slide into your spot as we start talking about the Oscars this weekend. All right. Where did my Oscar stuff go? Hey, Roy, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, good. I'm great. Welcome back to the studio. Okay, guess we got just one shot there. Actually, all right. Yeah, we still got you over in the couch there, Sam. All right. I know I don't have you for a lot of time today, and that's why I wanted to get you in here quickly and start talking about what's going on this weekend, and that is the Academy Awards,
the 90th Academy Awards.
All right, so let's start talking about who's going to win, who should win, and who will win, and we'll just hit the main ones here. We'll start with supporting actors and actresses.
Actors and actresses. Okay.
All right.
Supporting. Can you go?
Yeah. You want me to go ahead and pull it up?
Yeah.
I'll pull up the list. I guess I can't expect you to have this off the top of your head. All right. So let's do list of nominees, and for nominal accounts. I need a list of nominal accounts too.
Nominees, Oscars 2018.
There we go.
Full list. There you go.
Right here at the top. So, have you seen almost every single one of these movies that are up this year, Roy?
Except for two.
Except for two. So we'll start right here. Oscar nominations, 90th annual, and Academy President John Bailey was joined by Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water continued its war. Oh, so this is just the article. Here we go.
So that's the only one I
haven't
haven't
seen.
seen.
Let me. We'll get down to director.
Yeah.
We'll start with director then.
Christopher Nolan.
All right. I don't even need to go over that list. We got Shape of Water, Phantom Thread, Lady Bird, Get Out, Dunkirk, and you say Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan wins that one.
Yes.
Is that what your sources are saying?
No, that's what my soul is saying.
All right. That's who you want to win.
That's what my spirit is saying. Yes.
All right. So that's who you want to win. Is that who is going to win?
What's the nominees? It possibly will be Guillermo del Toro.
For that Shape of Water?
Yeah, but I haven't seen it, so I can't make that.
All right, because you haven't seen it. I was going to ask you a question. Because the only thing I know about it, of course, is everybody's making the joke about the sex scene with a fish. So now it's turned into a gag in my head. So but you haven't seen it yet. All right, next up, supporting actress. We have Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water, Laurie Metcalf, Lady Bird, Leslie Manville, Phantom Thread, Allison Janney, I, Tonya, and Mary J. Blige, Mudbound.
I think it's going to be between Allison Janney and Mary J. Blige.
Really? Mary J. Blige?
Yeah. She actually did really well in Mudbound.
What do I need to know about Mudbound? What's that movie? Do you know?
It's on Netflix, so you don't have to go to the theaters for it. So if you have Netflix. And it's another one of those... It's just telling the roots of African Americans.
Okay.
Here.
What are the rules for the Oscars? If a movie's just made for Netflix, is it still available, or does it has to go to theaters?
No, that's the thing I don't know. I know historically it has to be in a theatrical run for 2 weeks at least.
Okay. Okay.
And so the hilarity of it is that Tommy Wiseau, who made The Room, which is supposedly the worst movie ever,
right,
he funded his own theatrical run for 2 weeks to be in competition for the Oscars, which if you've seen The Room or if you've seen Disaster Artist, that would have never happened anyway.
Okay. So now, supporting actor Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, a movie I want to see so badly, mainly because I was born and raised 30 minutes outside of Disney,
Yeah.
And so that's what this movie centers on, is about kids that are on the periphery, or these families that are trying to make it. When you come to Orlando from around the world, from your perspective as a tourist, it is very touristy and magical and this and that. But you have real people who are living on the periphery, trying to make their way in the world just like everybody else. And this is what that movie focuses on.
So the real standout of that movie is actually Willem Dafoe. The reason is because Willem Dafoe takes character roles usually that are, very big and very assumingly a task to do. But not a lot of people understand that playing a normal person takes as much skill.
I've heard it's even harder. It's easier to
play.
Maybe
even harder than...
I've heard it's easier to play a character than it is to play a real person.
Yes. So if you watch this, you'll see his role, and he actually plays it really well. It's very deserving. So
he's up against Woody Harrelson in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is one of your favorite movies.
My favorite movies.
Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water. Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell, 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Sam Rockwell.
All day long?
All day long.
You know what we should do?
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's streaming now, so you can go grab it on iTunes or whatever.
Okay, this is 3 Billboards is on Netflix now? Or you said iTunes?
Netflix,
oh, yeah,
iTunes.
still have to pay for it?
Yeah.
I'll have to ask my wife.
You can rent it for $4.
All right, good. Might be able to get away with that one. 3 Billboards. Well, I guess we'll be coming back to that once we get to the top here.
Yeah.
So lead actress. So now we're getting to the top 3 here. Ooh. Meryl Streep in The Post. Damn it. You can't look at her name to say her name right.
Yeah, I mean, but like this. Oh, Saoirse Ronan.
There we go. Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird. Margot or Margot? Margot Robbie, I, Tonya. Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards. And Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water.
I think this is the
let me guess.
The hardest
Frances
category.
McDormand.
Because to be honest, they all did amazing. So this one's hard. I think it's going to go to Sally Hawkins.
Okay.
That's not my opinion. That's just what the
universe is saying.
The buzz is going.
All right.
But I want it to be Meryl Streep.
Okay.
She did an amazing job at The Post.
All right. And lead actor, Denzel Washington. I can't chime in with it. I haven't seen any of these. Cords, have you seen any of these movies that are out there?
Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour, all day long.
Oh, yeah?
All day long.
So he's up against Denzel. And what's that movie even about? Denzel Washington. I haven't even heard about this. Roman J. Israel Esquire?
Yeah. So it's from the director who did Nightcrawler.
Okay.
With Jake Gyllenhaal. It's kind of a creeper storyline.
Okay.
So it's along the lines of that kind of vibe. I didn't watch it.
So it's not like based on a true story or.
Actually, I don't know.
Okay. So
I don't think so.
Denzel Washington, Gary Oldman, Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out, Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread, and Timothy Chalamet. Chalamet?
Chalamet? I don't know.
Call Me by Your Name. Now, I'm assuming if Daniel Day-Lewis, you're calling Gary Oldman up, but I thought if Daniel Day-Lewis is in the category, it's a done deal.
Historically, here's the issue with Best Actor and Daniel Day-Lewis. If he's nominated, you might as well not have any expectations to win.
Right.
Because any part he plays in any movie he does, he's sure he always wins.
Okay.
Right?
But not this time.
Not this time. And I'm okay with that because
Gary Oldman's such an amazing actor.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is my favorite actor of all time, but Gary Oldman, a lot of people have portrayed Sir Winston Churchill in the movies, throughout cinema history. The latest one was the guy from 30 Rock. Not 30 Rock, Third Rock from the Sun. I forget his name. John Lithgow, who plays Winston Churchill in The Crown, and he won a Golden Globe for it. But,
great actor as well.
But when I watch The Crown, you can always tell that it's John Lithgow. So you go, it's John Lithgow. He does an amazing performance as Winston Churchill, and rightly so because he won a Golden Globe for it. But The Darkest Hour, you can never, look at Gary Oldman and you see Winston Churchill. You don't see Gary Oldman whatsoever.
And then these others, the Daniel Kaluuya and the Timothy Chalamet, or the Call Me by Your Name, that was the movie. I don't want to call it the gay movie, but for lack of it's the movie where I'm sorry for calling it the gay movie, everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm hearing that he could take this thing.
I haven't seen that. So Shape of Water and Call Me by Your Name are the last two movies I have to see before Sunday.
All right. And so that brings us right to Best Picture then. There's a lot of them up here. So do you have the one that you want to win?
Three Billboards.
Which is Three Billboards.
But if it loses, I'm okay with it losing to The Post.
And so what are the insiders saying? How's the Academy going to bend?
This one I don't know. I mean, Three Billboards surprisingly blew out the Golden Globes.
And for those of you that are listening, not watching, it's Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I want it. Three Billboards.
A lot of buzz.
The Post. Here's my one to whatever. Okay. I'll put them in order. Three Billboards, The Post, Lady Bird, Dunkirk. I haven't seen The Shape of Water. Get Out, Darkest Hour, and then I don't know where Shape of Water and Call Me by Your Name. Those can change once I watch it.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's such a good category this year. I don't think Phantom Thread should have been on there.
Which one is that?
Phantom Thread is the one by Paul Thomas Anderson, who did Magnolia, Boogie Nights, Inherent Vice, The Master. One of my favorite directors of all time, but Phantom Thread was just creepy.
Okay.
It's a love story, but it's a creepy
love story.
A creepy love story.
Real life.
Yeah.
All right, Roy. Well, we're gonna wait. I got all these jotted down. We got it on tape, so we're gonna weigh your predictions up against what happens on Sunday. And what are you reading or seeing about? Because what I'm seeing is that we can expect the politics to be toned down, the actual award ceremony itself, or do you even care about the ceremony itself? Do you get dressed up?
Oh, I don't get dressed up. Unless the Tampa Theater usually hosts a Oscar viewing, and people dress up to the nines.
That beautiful painting that's right behind you there. I don't know if people can see that or not. It's the Tampa Theater.
But now they've renovated it, so it should be quite an event this year. I won't be there. I'll probably be just watching from my bed.
All right.
But yeah, what do you call this? I'd be excited to see what happens. And Jimmy Kimmel's he's neutral. his show, he's been bashing on Trump a lot, but all the late night hosts that have been doing it.
Right.
I don't think he'll get too political. He doesn't seem like he would push the envelopes.
Really?
To me,
Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel
Or Jimmy Fallon?
No, it's Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay, well,
because he didn't do that last year.
He's an old radio guy too, and I would say he's a wild guy. He's going to get in a few shots. He's going to get in some opportunities. Yeah. He's not just going to let that. If it were Jimmy Fallon, I'm with you. I think he'll do what he'll just do whatever they give him, make it nice and fun and fluffy. But Kimmel's got a little bite to him, a little.
So
sharpness.
as far as the Academy Awards go, I think the Academy Awards, it still has to top the one where Hugh Jackman hosted. Because the one where Hugh Jackman hosts that year, that's the year that Slumdog Millionaire won, so I'm not sure what year that was, but that was the best presentation of an Oscar.
He is a triple, quadruple threat. It's not easy to top acts like that. But
yeah.
Roy, thank you so much for stopping by, sir. You enjoy your lunch today, and
we didn't talk about Annihilation.
Oh, okay.
Red Sparrow.
All right.
You have time?
Yeah. As long as you have time. I wanted to make sure I got you in and out of here, in time for your appointment.
Yeah. So, Annihilation is with Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaacs. It's a creepy sci-fi. Oh, you're gonna pull it up?
Yes.
And it has mixed reviews, so it's leaning towards people not liking it. But if you knew who Alex Garland is, the director and the writer of it, so he wrote 28 Days Later.
Okay.
With Danny Boyle. He wrote The Beach for Danny Boyle.
All right.
The one with Leonardo DiCaprio. His current movie, before Annihilation, was Ex Machina, which is it's like my second favorite movie of all time.
All right.
If you can judge it based off of Alex Garland and not a movie that's a standalone, because it's very controversial, like not controversial, but it's very polarizing, the resolution of it. If you're a fan of the director, you'll appreciate it. If you're just watching it to watch the movie as it is,
right,
I think you'll be kind of creeped out.
All right, so average person, don't go see this. If you're a cinema buff, go see this.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, what about Natalie Portman's performance herself? Because everybody loves Natalie Portman.
She's a great actress.
Ooh, what is this?
Regardless.
Drones and teams of people.
Oh, you haven't seen this trailer?
No.
But something has.
So,
You're a biologist.
So something's happening. There's this. I don't know how to not spoil it.
All right, don't spoil it.
There's a phenomenon that's happening somewhere in the South, not South America, but the southern states of
Georgia?
America, like
Alabama,
Louisiana area. Even though they shot in England, they made it look like the bayous.
It's like they're stuck.
So like some fantasy world's coming to life or something?
Yeah, so it's like it's a bubble that nobody understands. They've sent people in there. They've sent teams. Nobody ever comes back except for Oscar Isaac,
Okay.
who's Natalie Portman's husband. And Natalie Portman is this military biologist. So they sent her in there to go investigate. And what it is
Go back. I can't go.
within this place,
We can camp here tonight.
cells are mutating.
Ooh.
In a curious way.
All
so like
right.
they're trying to figure out.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in on that one. All right.
So
the
it's really good.
All right. So the last movie,
Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow. All right. So
Just came out last night.
This is
Jennifer
Lawrence. Yeah. Is this?
This is a not your typical spy movie.
Okay.
It has the spy movie tropes, so you can expect to not trust anybody.
All right.
Or not know where the story's going. The only thing with the movie that I would caution is anybody who has a faint of heart, because there's some very brutal torture scenes.
Oh wow!
Very brutal.
Not expecting that in a Jennifer Lawrence flick.
Yeah. So, whatever you expect of Jennifer Lawrence, don't expect it from this.
Okay. Because to me, this looks like a paycheck. To me,
it's more artistic.
Okay. All right.
Than what she's been coming out with. So this isn't like Passengers or Hunger Games. Even though the director of Hunger Games did this, This one is outside of
We'll be
her
trained in psycho-
her wheelhouse.
Oh, well, that's awesome then, because like I see this Russian thing. She's a hot Russian spy. Okay, go spend your $15 to go see Jennifer Lawrence as a hot Russian spy, but you're not going to get much more than that. I'm completely wrong on this, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Good twists and turns. I've kind of, I don't know. I kind of guessed the ending correctly.
Does that bother you? Or does it excite you when you get the ending?
It's bittersweet. It's like I like the fact that I knew what was coming. As a writer, as a filmmaker, I would have done the same thing. But then again, I'm like, it takes the fun out of it.
Okay.
For me.
All right. So this is one for everybody to go see. Then you're saying?
Yeah, bring the kids. Don't bring the kids.
Roy, thank you so much. Roy is our movie guru that works right here at Bake More Pies, putting together a lot of video and stuff behind the scenes, and it's always a pleasure to have you in.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon. And welcome to the Wake.Show, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we really appreciate you here and sharing and liking and commenting. And we'll bring in my next guest. Well, not guest, the friend of the show. Chris, slide over. Yeah, that's your couch there, buddy. You slide right on over, and we'll get a good shot of you.
Sexy.
There you go.
And your couch. This one.
Look at that.
What's up, baby girl?
How you doing, man?
Hey, man. What's going on, guys?
Happy-
Mi familia.
Yeah, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, man.
Welcome. And you welcome back to your seat there, Sam.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
So, did you guys want to do it? Yeah.
What? What you got? What? What?
What are you going to talk about art?
What are we going to talk about? It's going to be a little bit.
Okay.
So I figured we-
something after.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just go through the stuff you should know and, some stuff, and then we'll come to that towards the end of the show. What Corge was asking, because I know you guys couldn't hear, was when we're going to do the art piece. And that is, let me pull up stuff you should know real quickly. And that is, hello, what the hell did I just do? Oh, I love that I always push the wrong buttons.
I kind of feel bad. I took the pillows away from the dogs, and they're just a little off. They're like, what?
Yeah,
My bad.
where'd the pillows go?
Well, there were three of us, and now there's just one of us, and now they're like, I got
Oh yeah,
I got you.
Roxy needs high ground. She needs that high ground over there. So you see on the sheet today, at the end here, art experiment, art social experiment, and that is our friends from Art International, and the ART. I always forget the A.
Accelerated resolution therapy.
Accelerated resolution therapy, and it's helping people deal with what they with PS, not PSD, PS. They have dropped the D, the disorder.
PTS.
What did I say?
PS.
PS. It helps people suffering from postscript. For those people that can never just finish a thought and stop, but always have to add something. That's people who suffer from postscript syndrome. And but it's a social experiment to help people understand PTS, or PTS, what people would know as PTSD. And they've set up what looks like a coffee shop. And they've got all actors in there, including behind the counter and all the people in the store, except for those that are coming in to get the coffee. And while they are ordering their coffee and the barista's making it and things are happening, every time the barista makes a noise, they've got the room covered in subwoofers and speakers. And so it amplifies what he's doing. Then you hear this loud noise that goes along with it. It freaks you out. Well, you look around and nobody else is reacting to it. And so, because everybody else, it didn't happen. Well, they're hearing it. They're forcing themselves not to react to it. And so, it's a really cool experiment. We'll get to that video coming up. And at the same time, or afterwards, we'll talk to their executive director and get a little bit more insight on what's going on there. All right, the pillows are back there. The dogs. The dog. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Rocky.
So, yeah, that's coming up a little bit here later in the show. All right, Chris.
Yo.
How's your Friday, buddy?
Well, it started with you guys, which is always awesome.
Good.
My people, my family.
Good.
How's your guys' Friday?
Doing all right so far. I've got to, after the show today, head to Orlando. I've got a race to announce tomorrow.
All right.
Yes, the best damn race. You ever, Sam? You ever run a race, a 5K, 10K, something like that?
No, but I want to.
You look like a runner. You look like a 5K.
I've been trying. I'd like to do one.
What about you?
Wait, what do you mean by trying? What is that? How does that?
Trying to like train so that I could.
But how does I guess how do you, what does that mean? Training for that? I've
Like-
always wondered. People are like, I'm training for a marathon. I know you run, but is there like a
Just get my agility up and
today is
stretch.
1 mile. This week is 1 mile. The
Yeah.
next week's 2 mile. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. I definitely. I don't think I do not. I can't run a 10K right now. I know for a fact I can't do that. So
Right.
that's kind of what I'm working towards.
That's cool, man.
Turn that light on
that's
there.
right, I keep
Right there.
forgetting.
You get right there at the bottom. There we go.
Darkness.
There we go. Perfect. All right, let's get to some stuff you should know. So I see you brought your buddy Andrew with you today, and
Anthony.
oh, I'm sorry, Anthony.
It's my middle name's Andrew.
That's right.
See how I save Chris?
Thank you.
We save each other all the time like
Thank
that.
you so much. Yeah, Anthony was Anthony. You know, it's funny because what we're doing right here, here at Bake More Pies, is something that Chris and I had talked about 3
years ago?
5
Yeah,
years
long
ago.
time, yeah.
And this guy Anthony was like, "Hey, I know some people. I can get you guys a studio and get you all set up, and this and this and this." Things ultimately fell through, but it's good to see him. See, oh, so is he talking to Cords about some stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because
All right.
what people don't know is that Anthony, he came to Chris and I and was like, hey, I got some people come through. So now here's a situation where it's reversed. So that we're like, hey, it was our turn to say, hey, we got something. And, obviously there's 2 different owners to not go that route. So, just know Cords is this way. The other people were, yeah. So this is a great situation. So, yeah, happy to give it back.
All right.
You got to, man. You got to do that.
Well, let's talk about some of the things we got with stuff you should know, and then play this art piece I want to play for you. And Tiger Woods. This is very exciting to me. I know it's not exciting to everybody. Tiger Woods is coming to town. And I know Tiger Woods is no longer the Tiger Woods that Tiger Woods once was. But out of all the years that they've had this tournament here at Innisbrook, he has never played it. It's now called the Valspar. It's been it's had a few different sponsors over the years. Pods, I think, even sponsored it a couple of years. But so this is exciting for those people that work out at Innisbrook and the people that I know out there. I would imagine it's exciting because even though he's not at the top of his game and likely never will be again, it's still Tiger Woods. There's still there's still a fascination.
If you're seeing someone who we all know arguably was on the way to be the best, it's nice to be able to know you've seen it in your life. Like I went to the Chili Peppers concert. It was like, man, and I was like, I've never seen him live. I've got to see him. So now I feel like, great, I've seen him. You know what I mean? So the same with Tiger Woods. Like I don't even like golf, but I'd like to be like, yeah, I saw him play.
Yeah, that little quandary though has hung up in my head a few times when people have come through town, whether it's like Pink Floyd or the Stones. I'm like, well, I would want to go see them, but you go spend all the money to go see them now. When man, I
Back
really
then it would have been. Yeah, I feel you, dude.
But that's
But
the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah, because at this point, like, I know what you're talking about, but like the Chili Peppers were amazing at 50. And
Yeah.
it was something to be said, like,
Yep.
so all the years of them together, and now you're seeing them the best they could really ever be. Maybe not the youngest, but they were jumping around. It was intense. It was awesome. So you got to do it. Forget the past. Do it now.
Yeah, the one time that I had the opportunity to see Tiger Woods play when he was more in his prime was about 10 years ago, and had tickets through a buddy of mine to go to the TPC, the championship up in Jacksonville, and he was playing. I got there kind of late, and so he literally was walking off the 18th as I was walking into the tournament, so I didn't get a chance to see him play at all that day. But
So you're going this time, though?
I would love to. I didn't. The Valspar, is that next weekend?
Yeah, the 9th, 10th weekend. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's next weekend. Oh, yeah. I think I might be able to go. The following weekend, I'm going to be out of town, but maybe.
Gotcha.
So Tiger Woods is headed to Palm, Florida. Woods committed to play in the Valspar Championship, which begins on Thursday at the Innisbrook Spa and Resort. In a Friday morning tweet, Woods said, "After a good recovery week, I'm committing to play the Valspar Champ." And the reason that he's playing is because, from what I understand, is he is still trying to get into or he's trying to get some more rounds before the Masters or something like that. His game's not on, or he needs some rounds before the Masters, something like that. That's what Woods will have 2 tournaments to get ready for the Masters, which is April 5th and 8th. And yeah, so he's never played for whatever reason. This just has never fit strategically into the way that he shapes out his year. But now he needs these rounds before he gets to the Masters. So we're finally going to get Tiger Woods limping through Palm Harbor. You ever golf? You a golfer at all?
No.
You're an athletic guy.
Yeah, it's funny. That's like the one sport that I don't know, shoulder issue. I just never. Miniature golf, I'll rock anybody, but outside of no, I've never. Are you good at golfing?
I can play golf.
Okay.
And if I go out and play right now, like I don't play like I used to.
Right.
So
you played though.
Well, no, I didn't grow up on golf.
Okay.
To me, that was the other side of the tracks, And so to me, golf was the old fat white guy with funny pants and a cigar, that
hat with like a weird little ball on the top.
And don't get me wrong, you'll find that guy out on the golf course.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's not the jerk that you think that he is.
True,
or at least,
True. Sam, you golf?
And just mini golf.
Me and you, let's go.
There you
Put
go.
5 on it.
But I did, Innisbrook, this is where this is going to be played. I did go out to Innisbrook there for a little bit. This was back in like 2002, 2003. They used to have a golf school out there called Troon. And, sorry, come on. Called Troon. And I went out there for a weekend. And this is back when I was, I was happy when I shot under 100, but after going to Troon and a couple weeks afterwards going to the range, then I was down shooting in the 80s, which is really, really cool.
Wow.
And even got to the point where I shot in the 70s. I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 times.
You were doing well.
I got down there,
Wow.
yeah. I got down there.
That's impressive.
Where I shot in the 70s a few times, and then I busted my ankle. And did not recover properly, and it messed up my swing, and just never, came back from it.
See, I had a shoulder injury, and when I tried to mess with golf, that injury wouldn't allow me to really. And I was like, oh well, I'll caddy and kick it.
Tiger's coming to town. Here we go. I don't know if this now. You know what's going to be in my head now, Sam?
Oh, no.
What?
Is going to be our guest from yesterday, Matt Dom. As we go through stuff you should know now, every time I bring one of these up, I'm going to hear him going, is this really stuff people should know? A Burmese python devours a white-tailed deer that weighed more than the python itself in Florida. Here's the picture of that. And it seems like there's more. One of the reasons why
blanking out the.
That's Chris. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up. And why? Because I'm like,
no.
Are they protecting the identity of the deer, but until they notify
For the
next
deer's
of kin?
family, we don't want to hurt the deer's Bambi.
Yeah.
We don't want Bambi to go through shock.
Mr. and Mrs. Bambi, we have some bad news for you.
We need
jeez.
to identify. Wow, what?
Oh my
How
God.
is that not blacked out?
Yeah. So this one, I'm assuming it's too mangled or something. So they wanted it was too grotesque.
Its head was off or something.
Yeah, but this was not too grotesque.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Wait a minute.
That's science right there.
Let me ask you a question. What's up with that?
How many people are having their
Who
lunch?
killed that deer? That's the question, because now I'm starting to think why the thing's burned out, because there's no way. Obviously, the deer was dead prior to. Maybe someone cut its head off or something. That's why it's. Because if you see how when it was going back, go back one. Scroll back.
Oh my God.
That's insane. Yeah, they were feeding that thing. That dead
Wow.
because there's no head there. It's just kind of.
All right. Well, let's find out then. Wildlife biologist with the. It decided to devour a white-tailed deer fawn. Officials say the pythons have been known to kill and ingest large prey, and this was a record-breaking meal. Officials stumbled upon the python with the massive prey inside. The biologists removed the python out of the wild into an open area, and the python was stressed, so it pushed the deer out of its mouth. In the photo below, you can see the breathing tube and tongue of the python as it has its mouth wrapped around the deer. Oh my! Oh, this little thing right here is its breathing tube. This is how it breathes. No kidding. See, that is fascinating. Sorry for those of you that are eating lunch at your desk right now. Sorry about that one. We go from deer versus python to bear versus tiger. An astonishing battle between two ferocious animals is caught on film. Who came out on top? Ooh, there's a still. Scroll down for video.
Oh my God.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, why am I've got it on Chris instead of the.
Are they babies?
They do look smaller.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
That is a scary shot.
The tiger attacked, but the bear showed that she was not going to be intimidated by the male predator. Oh, hold on. Here's the video. The video
dude,
playing.
I think they were playing, man. We'll see.
Do you think they were playing?
My guess is that there's something different about that. There wasn't a real fight.
Where's the damn video? Oh, this is.
I like to go against the grain sometimes. You know what I mean? So,
can we skip this damn advertisement?
Probably not.
All right, they'll get their free advertisement.
Outside of that, that's fine.
They have like 20 different ads on this one page.
Well, I got to see how this plays out now. All right, end of advertisement now. Now show me the damn video. Wait, it's not an animal fighting.
USA.
All right, close. What the hell?
We just got played.
There is no animal video. Wait,
there it is. Replay.
Maybe it's here. Another ad.
No, it's not.
Go down.
Keep going down.
Keep going.
Yeah,
look at these stills, though. Holy smokes. That looks like a smaller bear, but that tiger seems pretty big.
Oh my!
Oh, they really are fighting. I
Jeez.
take that back. Oh man,
they were
that's
hugging.
crazy.
Oh jeez!
Oh my god!
Look at the bear going.
Dude, that's actually pretty bad. I want to see this video.
And there's got to be a video somewhere. All right. Well, they keep getting me with the ads. I think we've seen. You're gonna have to search it yourself.
That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. Hey Jojo, how you doing, buddy? Did you see that?
Oh.
Hey, does those kind of videos disturb you, little man? I used to be like that.
Joey.
My great
Past life.
All right, next up is stuff you should know today. Ooh, how about this? Most people can tell if you're rich just by looking at your face. A new study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology posits there's a good chance you can tell if someone is rich or poor just by looking at them. The relationship between well-being and social class has been demonstrated by research, previous research. And in general, people with money tend to live happier, less anxious lives compared to those struggling to make ends meet. She and her team demonstrated that these well-being differences are actually reflected in people's faces. So, they look at grayscale photographs of 80 white males and 80 white females. None showed any tattoos or piercings. Half of the photos were people who made over $150,000 a year, which was designated upper class, and the others were people who made under $35,000 a year. Well, there's got to be a caveat there. If you're making under 35, you can't be living at home too, because you can be. If you're still living at home making 35, that's just icing on the cake there. When the subjects were asked to guess the class of the people in the photos, they did so correctly 68% of the time, significantly higher than random chance. Quote, I didn't think the effects would be quite as strong, especially given how subtle the differences are. That's the most surprising part of the study to the people that put on the study. So what do you think of that? Just looking at a person, you can go, oh, that person's rich. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think because of the way you live your life, for those people, hold on, I got a scam likely coming in. You guys get these on your phone too? You get T-Mobile?
No.
It says scam likely, so you don't have to answer it.
Oh,
I wish mine did that.
Out of Newport Richie, it's a damn scam.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, now you just work on your cell service.
Well, I was going to say with that whole thing about being rich, I mean, they're talking about, monetarily speaking, but what about people who think that being rich is just like, your spirit and just being connected and just being happy? Like, I feel like I'm the richest dude on the planet.
You're broke as hell.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? Yeah,
no, you're right. That's why when I first saw this headline, I'm like, God, come on.
Yeah, because I feel like people would think that I'm rich by looking at me like I'm just
happy.
Yeah, like life is great.
And you're right. Did you guys ever see the documentary Happy?
No.
It's called Happy. It was basically, studying this. It was a documentary on going around the world.
I did see that actually. Yes, I did see that. It was good.
And,
yeah,
and you're exactly right because
those smaller countries that don't have anything, they were just.
Yeah, there was they start off with this guy that has next to nothing nothing, and is out there scavenging for fish every day or whatever it is, working a very hard life. And it seemed to be anyway. The documentary portrayed him seemed to be very much at peace. So you don't have to be rich to be my girl.
I was just about to say that.
You don't have to be cool to rule my world.
Ain't nobody that like that. Boy.
You don't have to be rich to be happy, but I will say this, like the other day, Cords introduced me to somebody, right? And there are some people, when you meet them, there is an air, an aura about them.
Yes.
And just shaking that man's hand and just saying, hi, nice meeting you, for 5 seconds, like, that guy is, there's just something. Granted, I mean, he's dressed nice too, but there's also the different kinds of dressing nicely. You have new money versus old money. And this, to me, felt like old money. New money can be a little bit more flashy. They're having it for the first time. They want to show people, hey, man, I've got some stuff, so they got the highest brand, this and this and this. But old money comes from a few generations. Their clothes are still
understand that money isn't anything. They understand that, okay, we got it. It's just whatever. That's not what life is. New money is like, yes, they label that as success. Old money doesn't label it as success. Right. They look at it as just part of life.
Right. And they'll be dressed nicely, and their clothes will fit very well, but not necessarily flashy.
Right. And see, and it's funny, man, because and I agree with that. Like, where I live, man. I'm blessed.
That's right.
And
I think did you buy Hulk Hogan's?
Did you see how I was dressed yesterday on the show?
Did you buy Hulk Hogan's old house?
Maybe. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, whatever. I don't know. I feel like it's just, that's what I mean. Like, rich. It's a state of mind. I don't necessarily think it's, like, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like the times when I didn't have much.
Well, listen, for some people, as long as you have the basics covered, right? You have the basics covered, and you're not stressing about whether or not you're going to keep the lights on. That's all a lot of people, most people, I would imagine, need. Like, no, I'm good. My bills are paid.
Right.
I'm not concerned if they're not going to get paid. I've got a couple of dollars in the bank, and I'm good for right now. But for some people, that is it's a never-ending. It's a never-ending battle to have more and more and more and more.
Wanting more, yeah, that's true. And I think that also comes with the lack of understanding self and knowing, like, again, what are you here for? Again, like, if you're gonna get older, you're gonna, so what's your legacy? What's your plan for life? Is it about success? Is it about fame? Is it about helping people? It's about connecting. I think when you find out what your priority is, and then people kind of, move from that, and then, so yeah, like, just, I feel bad for people who are always feeling like they have to conquer and they have to win, because then they're the ones that are always like, it's not enough, I need something else, I need to win twice in a row, 3, and it's it's rough.
And that's very much our culture too. This perfect, like, it's a constant strive for perfection, which there is no such thing.
What broke me of mine, and not a lot of people even know this story, but what broke me of my wanting to, get bigger. Of course, everyone likes, people like, accolade. Hey, good job. People like, pat, everyone likes praise and whatnot. It's great. I like it too. Great. But it got to a point where we got so popular that I got a phone call from the White House to perform. Right. I never told you the story. I got a phone call from the White House.
You probably sure you did somewhere along the way.
And it was 3 days after the band had broken up. So for me, it was like this, you're trying so hard, and that happens. And you're just like, dude, I don't even care anymore. This is just nuts. Like, you're going so after this thing, and you get it, and then it doesn't, and then you go, and you're still playing music, and now you're like, you know what, like, what's fulfillment at this point? Like, playing music to me and making it just the moment is just all I care about at this point. And it's funny now, because I'm at that point, I'm back at the door, and the fame is back, and I'm just like, I just want to play music.
It's funny you say that, because you don't always know everybody's motivation. And speaking of music, Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness is his current band. Some of you may know him from Jack's Mannequin and Something Corporate. But we were talking about this very subject last year, the year before, and it's just somebody I've gotten to know over the years. I'm not name dropping. It's just somebody I've got to know over the years. You're talking about being blessed. You're in the media and radio. You get to meet all these cool people like Chris McCarty and Andrew McMahon and Sam. And and so his music started to chart. He was top 10 on the alternative rock charts at the time.
Yeah, I know Jack's Mannequin. That's funny.
And he was right there. He was getting ready to hit #1 with that single, or was right there, on the alternative charts or whatever charts he was watching. And he goes, writing a hit song's not all it's cracked up to be. He said something that struck me, like, in that moment. Here's what I got from that moment. I'll tell you what I got. Is he was saying, I've spent so long trying to write this song, and now that I've written that song, the feeling's not there that I thought was going to be there.
I was listening to Steve Harvey talk about the same thing. He's like, one of the things in life that was most he couldn't prepare for, couldn't know. It was fame. He thought fame was this glorious. Now we're here and people acknowledge you and they praise you. And he's like, it was not at all. It's the most difficult thing that he's ever had to do. Of course, he wouldn't go back. No. But it's just like you say. I mean, it's like, that chase. Like, Eminem was talking about that same thing too. Like, it was for so long, I'm broke. I'm broke. And now I'm here and it's like,
you're still broke.
Different chase.
Fix you. Yeah, you're thinking that moment's going to fix you.
But he relapsed. A lot of people are able to get that. Once you get it, you're like, now what?
There's a psychological term too, or the term they use in mental health. I don't know if it's in mental health or if it's more of the pop psychology. They call it the hedonic treadmill, I believe. Hedonic treadmill, meaning nothing will ever be good enough. And it has to do, and that's most of us, not just certain people. Like, if you have certain anxieties and insecurities making $60,000 a year, well, they're likely still going to be there at $600,000 a year or $6 million a year, because your brain will keep tricking you because you're still insecure and you still feel insecure. So you have to solve those problems in your head. And it's going, oh, well, it's because the markets are going to do this, or it's the end of time. So if you don't have $1 billion saved, then you're going to be screwed and your family's going to be screwed. So your brain will keep tricking you. And it's called the hedonic treadmill, if I remember correctly. If there was only a way for me to look it up and see if, all right, I got you now that it's in my head. Hedonic, because I don't explain it wrong.
Yeah, you're correct.
The hedonic treadmill, also known as hedonic adaptation, is the observed tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events in your life. So I don't think I fully explained it properly. But speaking of mental stuff, Chris, this is really cool, man. I'm going to play this for everybody right now. This comes from our friends at Accelerated Resolution Therapy. It's the ART International Training and Research. And then afterwards, we are going to talk with the executive director over there about this piece about, post-traumatic stress is just not something that affects those in the military. It affects a lot of people. I want to say the number is there's like 24 million. Yeah, 24 million people with some kind of post-traumatic stress. It doesn't have to be a car bomb. It doesn't have to be your best friend blowing up next to you. A dog bite, a moment in your life where the bottom just fell out and you weren't psychologically prepared, can send you down this path where then you can have issues relating to it. So one of the difficulties in the mental health field is trying to get people to understand, who don't suffer from depression or anxiety or PTS or whatever Ds that are out there and syndromes that are out there, to understand what those people are going through. So let's go ahead and press play, and this will set it up for you.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, action.
125 decibels right there. We're gonna have to clean this up.
Where do you want me to stand? I just walk out and introduce yourself maybe more time.
Okay, that's fine. Cool. And then when they look around, you guys are completely normal, like nothing happened.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Can I have a hot chocolate?
So you just want, do you want a double espresso or a single?
Double is fine.
Okay.
You got whole milk?
I do.
Let's do it.
Okay, do you want a medium, large?
No, medium.
Medium, and do you want that for here?
Yes, please.
All right. Let's get this going for you. Do you want that for here or to go?
For here is fine.
Okay.
All right, get ready. 3, 2.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That explosion.
No. Just making some coffee. What's the weather like outside today?
Freezing.
Is it? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the cold. That's why I live here.
He's gonna shake you. Get ready for dog barks.
I don't know why I do it, but sometimes I just have to shake the beans too. Thank you very much.
What was that?
What was what? You guys enjoy the day?
Thank you.
Let's get out of here.
I don't know.
Hey guys, come on over here. We've got cameras right here, and we've got a camera right here, a camera back here, a camera right here, one right back here, one right up there. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna take you in the back here. should go on through.
Thank you.
Oh, you okay? What happened there? I'm veering you onto the one coffee I know how to make with my 4 hours of training as a barista. So, did you notice at all that no one else was reacting to the noise? How'd that kind of make you feel?
Alone?
I just wanted somebody else to be on the same wavelength as me, because I felt like I was the outcast and nothing happened. Nobody looked around, nobody looked at me, nothing.
How'd that make you feel?
Isolated?
What would you think if you had to deal with the same things you dealt with today, every day?
That would be debilitating. It would be scary to even leave my house because you don't know when or what to expect from day-to-day life.
That's what 24 million U.S. citizens deal with on a daily basis. It's not mostly veterans.
Really?
A lot of people go through a lot of difficulties with post-traumatic stress. Did you hear the dog bark? Did you hear the car wreck?
I did, yeah.
I was a Green Beret. I lost 5 friends in a 6-month period. You know, it's hard. It's just a memory or emotional attachment to something that you need to work through.
It's jarring. And not just my personal, but to hear the numbers and to hear your story a little bit and know that people are suffering in silence. It's always been the sort of thing where you don't really talk about it, and that's not right, you know, if we're going to heal. You know?
Chris, come here, brother. Get another hug from me. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I really do.
Right on, man. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
Yeah,
this.
of course. Thank you.
All right, Chris, that was the piece that I was talking about earlier. I had a conversation with their executive director that we're going to play here in a second. Her name is Kelly Breeding. She's also a therapist. She's not only the executive director, but we're going to talk about the inspiration behind that, the motivation, I should say, behind that, why it's so important, how it might impact you, and also what they're doing is different. What the kind of therapy the way they're resolving this problem is different. So we're going to get into that as well. But Chris, you saw this just now for the first time, and the first thing that I heard come out of your mouth was, "That's powerful."
Yeah, it was powerful because it kind of threw me off because I've actually just dealt with the man said he had lost 5 friends in 6 months, and I just kind of dealt with that. And so it made me think, because I know I'm going through things, and people go through things, but it made me wonder, maybe that's something that, that the post-traumatic, because obviously just the level of it all, it just made me think a little bit more
Oh, so you related a little bit more, as you're watching, maybe I got a little bit of PTS that I need to.
Yeah, well, I think when the guy talks about just wanting to connect, and that automatically puts my brain and thinking, I want to connect to, you know what I mean? And so then you start thinking about yourself, he felt isolated. Now everyone's going to think about just being by themselves. I think that's kind of the point of that, Oops. And so, yeah, that's the moment I started thinking about just, me, and when he just, I lost 5 friends in 6 months. I was like, damn, so did I, and just, so. Yeah.
The barista too that you saw in the video there that he was explaining stuff to him at the end. He's actually one of the, I don't know if it's a patient, if you call it a patient, but he was one of the patients as well. Mm. He is ex-military and suffered from very serious PTS, and on their website, on their social media page, you can find his video. But yeah, so he's gone through the therapy and was able to go through that, because this was something, I guess, a year ago or 2 years ago, if he would have gone through this particular exercise, he would have been jumping. Right. But he was able to be a part of the experiment this time. That's right. So, all right, Chris, so at this time, I'm going to go ahead, and this is a first time for the Wake.Show, and I'm going to play a video that I've already recorded, and I've never done that before here. So I'm going to hit this button and see what happens. Wish me luck. Great video, and we welcome into the studio one of the people behind this, and we're going to learn a little bit more about post-traumatic stress. We're going to learn more about new therapies that are out there that can help people deal with their situations, and learn a little bit more about the video here. So we want to welcome into the studio now Kelly Breeding. This is the executive director at Art International. How you doing, Kelly?
Good morning. I'm good.
Good morning. Welcome into the studio. All right. Well, let's start with the video first of all, and explain to the people that these were all actors. Well, I guess you just watched the video. You saw if you saw the text come across. They're all actors in there, except for the people coming in to buy coffee. Right. And this was a social experiment set up to, or designed to help us, those people who don't suffer from PTSD, to understand those who do. And so the experiment was pretty simple. Everybody in the room was going to act like nothing's going on, and as the barista is doing various things, those sounds are amplified and made to be very uncomfortable. So now they're looking around going, what the hell's going on, and how come nobody else even notices, and they're going crazy in their head. And so that's kind of what you guys were looking for, right?
Yeah, I mean, just basically trying to show the individuals, or the community at large that's watching this video, that the silent struggles of people who have experienced traumatic memories or have had traumatic experiences.
And where did you guys come up with this concept? Because I would imagine, well, not only is she the executive director there, but she is a mental health specialist herself, a therapist herself. So I know that it is not easy to come up with these kinds of things to help other people understand. Mm-hmm. And so, whose idea was this, and how excited were you when you came across it?
So Diamond View Productions, who is the film crew who took this from the beginning to the end for us, they are the ones that came up with the idea, and they pitched it to us. They actually pitched it to me by performing a small social experiment on us, so we got to experience it.
So they came in and made you jump a little.
Yeah.
What was the experiment they performed? Was it similar?
Somewhat. We were in their boardroom, and they were showing us a concept on the screen, and they had a bunch of subwoofers under the table that I didn't see. And
so then they acted like they didn't know what was going on. Yeah. How I would imagine you caught on to their game pretty quickly.
I just said no more.
I don't know. I get it.
I got the point.
I don't know what you're doing, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys did this video, and you shot this right here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, we did it with Blind Tiger Cafe in Seminole Heights, Tampa.
Okay. And it's specifically being done so that you guys can get the get people to understand, get the word out there, and also talk about the kind of therapy that is different than what maybe somebody, if you are a vet and you've already gone through some stuff, you don't want to sit down and talk to anybody else about what happened to you. It's not working. Da 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 da. This is not that. So Kelly, I would like you to talk about what somebody who is dealing with, even if they didn't know it was PTS, and you guys don't like to call it PTSD.
No.
You drop the D off of there. Why is that?
I mean, we're not the only organization. I think there's a big movement within the mental health community right now to remove the word disorder from this diagnosis. We don't feel that it's not a disorder. Post-traumatic stress is a symptom of something that has occurred in your life. It's not something that you're born with.
No, hold on, I'm sorry. So is there something wrong with me that while you're talking, I'm watching the video and I start to tear up? Is that a sign of something?
No, that means you have empathy.
Okay, good. It's a sign that I'm a decent human being, that I'm not a psychopath. At least we can check that off.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
So we really, this first and foremost, this video, this campaign is to bring awareness to mental health treatment, specifically the treatment of traumatic experiences and symptoms of trauma, which is post-traumatic stress. So, as you see in the video, there is a much broader aspect of post-traumatic stress that goes outside of the military. There are 24 million people in the United States right now that are suffering from post-traumatic stress or severe symptoms of trauma.
What does post-traumatic stress have to do with a singular incident always?
It can be singular. It can, I mean, there's so many different, it's a very individual experience. I mean, everybody experiences and processes things differently. Every human being, their brain is wired differently in the way that they process and they justify things that have happened in their lives or in the lives of people around them. It's very individual.
You know, when I was talking to a doctor back in the day about this, we had entertained the idea, or he had, about he didn't call it post-traumatic stress. He was talking about people in the media and high, you know, something, and that from what I was telling him, he wouldn't be surprised if when he looked at my brain, it would look similar to somebody who, you know, had post-traumatic stress.
Well, I think there's not a person on this planet who hasn't experienced or seen or been close to somebody who's experienced something traumatic. You know, we've seen in watching the media. I mean, we can be traumatized easily just by seeing what's going on around us. People fear a loss of control of their lives and of their safety and their livelihood around them. I mean, there are communities across the country right now that are putting all kinds of regulations in schools because parents are afraid to send their kids to school. I mean, seeing something that happened in Parkland, Florida, it spreads across the nation. I mean, that's causing traumatic feelings for people, or fear. It's building fear in people. So, I mean, those types of things are what can lead to an unsuccessful, you know, processing of situations and experiences.
So going back then, talking about the treatment, we talked a little bit about how the mental health community is moving away from calling anything really a disorder, and because
specifically related to trauma.
I guess, but in saving disorder for those things that you're born with.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. You can develop a disorder, but it's not something that is related to an exterior situation. I mean, this is in direct relation of something that has occurred in your life.
Are all those who are affected with PTS or have PTS, are they treatable? You know, is there, if you spend enough time going through the right therapy, can you turn this around, for lack of a better term?
It's very individual.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say for the most part, yes, but I can't answer that as a, you know, a definite. I mean, everybody's different. It depends on the situation. It depends on their motivation to get better. It depends on their cognitive abilities.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit then about the therapy.
Sure.
Going back to what we have been trying in the past. I mean, going back as far as 40s, 30s, or even further than that, to what you guys are doing now.
Okay. Well, obviously, traditional psychotherapy, talk therapy, is what people are most familiar with. That has been used for many, many years to deal with, you know, a myriad of problems that people have, presenting problems. In dealing with trauma specifically, talk therapy can be it can almost re-traumatize people at times, because talking about this situation over and over and over again just continues to bring it up in this person's life. It continues to raise the physiological responses, the triggers in your body from what this experience and this memory has.
But I thought that's what that kind of therapy was supposed to do, and then you sit in that moment and you get over it. But it doesn't always work that way?
No.
Okay. Again, everybody's different.
Everybody's different. There are people who really, you know, they respond very well to that type of therapy. There are people that respond really well to prolonged exposure, which is exposing you to a situation until you're almost desensitized from it. And then there are people that don't want to talk about it. I mean, you think about, you know, somebody who's been a victim of sexual abuse, or a teenager who doesn't want to talk to an adult to begin with. They don't want to speak to a stranger and talk about this problem. So by utilizing a modality similar to accelerated resolution therapy, there's very little talk therapy. It's all run through guided imagery, and it's controlled with restorative eye movement. So by activating both sides of the brain at the same time, you allow that person to recall a memory into.
All right, well, you're talking really fast right now, because I'm sure you've explained this, because this is the important part of what you guys do, and so I definitely want you to slow it down here, because you're talking about. It sounds to me like you're using visual stimulation to trick the brain into something.
You're not tricking it. You're just allowing the brain to recall a memory to the forefront.
Okay.
And then by doing that, and by utilizing the restorative eye movements, you are able to allow that person to re-script their narrative. They almost become the director of their own memories, so that they can kind of re-script what happens, and so that makes it a little less traumatic.
Do you guys use any? Are there any, for lack of better, drugs? Are there any drugs that go along with this as well? Okay, so this is all. All right.
It's very directive. It's very rapid. It takes an average of 4 sessions for somebody to see significant success in dealing with something. Some people need 1. Some people need 5. It just depends on the situation of the person. It depends on the level of trauma, how long that they've been living with this trauma, and their motivation to get better.
One of the videos that I've seen in the past, and maybe we'll play it today on the show, is of somebody who's gone through this military, I can't remember which branch.
Green Beret.
Traumatized, and to hear him recount, you know, the difficulties he was having, the therapies he's already tried, and then watch him break down as he's talking about going through what they were going through over there and how it changed him very quickly. Very quickly. And so here's one of the things that's different about what they do. And for those of you that, like me, that have been to your fair share of therapy, it can be very open-ended. The therapy can be. And it's kind of like, oh, the time's up. Well, we'll pick up here next week. And then you have to kind of hold on to all your stuff for the next week, where there's a process with each one of the sessions so that there is a conclusion at the end. It's something that is cathartic.
Well, it's just there's a resolve in every session. So there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the clinicians, the trained clinicians, they're all running off a very directive, scripted modality. So they have tools to speed up the process if they see they're coming to the end of their time limit that they have, or they can slow it down for that person if they see that this person's going to need a little bit more time and some extra processing.
Okay. All right, so I've lost your video. I hate the way that they do that. The way that Facebook just all of a sudden goes to the next thing. And because I wanted to bring up, I had a great graphic there for you guys. All right, enough of that then. Enough of that nonsense. I'll put up a graphic here in a second. Okay. Because I just want to make sure that we get all your information out there as well. So if people want to learn more about what you're doing, the easiest way is to track you down through your website.
Correct.
And that is?
www.artherapyinternational.org.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly, for stopping by. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
There we go. Now it's back to me. That is a solid segue right there, my friend. And now we bring in Chords after that, because Chords came in the studios. We were playing that back, and that was an interview I did with Kelly earlier, and said he wanted to have wanted to add a little something to it. Go ahead, Chords.
Yeah, so we were down there. I was down there talking to Kelly because she's meeting with us about a couple other things. And one of the things we were talking about is how you wanted to experience art therapy, right? And so I talked to her and we worked it out. So Wednesday of next week,
all right,
you're going to get to do it.
All right. Awesome. Listen, I don't even know my issue. I've never been diagnosed with anything particularly. You know, I've had my fair share of conversations with mental health professionals, and we have entertained. I don't know. It's probably, I'm sure that's not the word they use. We've entertained different things from, anxiety, depression, bipolar, but never really ADHD, ADD. I was even on, what the hell's that stuff? Adderall for 3 months. And, but I've never really gotten to the bottom of whatever my issues are. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this therapy, works, and will it have effect on me.
Yeah, I mean, the accelerated resolution part of it's pretty exciting because it's supposed to work really fast.
Have you done this?
I've never tried it before, no.
Mike has, though, right?
Mike has done it, yeah.
And Mike is one of the other guys here in the building here. But he didn't do it, for like any particular issues. He just wanted to see what it was because he was helping to work on this project, right?
Yeah, I didn't pry.
Okay.
So I
didn't. Touche, you're right. Michael, what's wrong with you? Get in here. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Right. So I don't know what it is that he talked about, but he said it worked. So
do you think this is something that we should video, or what do you think, Chords?
We'd have to obviously get permission. I know that there are certain techniques that come across in the video. So the challenge is if you videoed it, it's like you don't want people trying hypnosis on their own or something, right? Like these are brain waves and things. I mean, this is like highly.
And so is this in that?
Specialized
I guess
stuff.
This was probably a better question for Kelly. Is this in the hypnotic therapy category? Do you know?
Well, I know that there are elements of rapid eye movement in it. And just any old schmo can't watch somebody do that and know what they're doing. It takes, these therapists go to years of school and training and everything else.
It's like when you watch the Dog Whisperer and then you go home, your dog does something wrong, you go, you think that's all you need to know is the part of this, and the part's only going to freak your dog out if you don't know how to follow it up. All right, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so if we were to videotape it, we'd have to work closely with them to make sure that whatever angles we got, it's the the right stuff that we're allowed to videotape. Like maybe we keep it on you. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I can't promise anything like that.
And maybe it's best that we don't, because that will be in my head, and I was
thinking the same thing.
Yeah, you need to just be you instead of a performer.
Right,
you
can't help it.
It's not about entertaining. This is about you, dude.
Yeah, dude.
When the camera's on or the mic's on, you can, for somebody like me anyway, I cannot play to it. So.
It's who you are. The lights turn on. Boom. Hey,
right.
Yeah, you turn on. You turn on.
But we worked it out. So next week.
All right.
Exactly.
Thanks, Gores. I appreciate it. All right, Chris. I don't have anything. Oh, I do have one more thing left in the show, my friend.
I was going to talk to you about the therapy thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, it's really great because there's all different types of therapy that you can do. Well, Anthony's here too. But
Anthony, if you want to sit in that corner right there and you can grab a mic. Actually, let me put the mic on you, or put a camera on you.
Yeah. There we go. Which is actually really, really, really cool that Anthony's here. Let me just, because we can kind of segue into like what Anthony. So Anthony is, we always say that he's the.
Keep that light on. Don't you turn that light off.
We always say that he's the. Is it on?
Yep, it's on.
The light is on. Okay. No, the mic's on. So Anthony's one of my best friends. We always say that, like, we're the exact same, just opposite color, but same dude. Right.
I like that. It's show and tell when Chris comes by here. One day he brings his kids, he brings his best friend.
My best friend. Like, it's just what it is. So this is my dude. And so what's great is because Anthony was the one when I was about to split with my ex. He's the one that said, "Hey, listen, on the real, you guys are in that crazy zone where if you don't get out now, you guys are gonna end up hating each other." He's like, "I'm just innocent bystander," because he was like living with us for like a week or something in between, and didn't listen to his advice. And man, like, I know that was we should have absolutely done that. So I say that it's great that having Anthony here, because I was talking about the therapy, and you're doing your therapy. Well, one thing that I'm doing is I'm actually writing forgiveness letters.
Well, I want to bring that. This is my therapy dog right here. Not officially. I jokingly say that. I'm his therapy human. But yesterday during the show, you were writing something, and somebody had commented and thought you were writing a song. They saw you writing in a pad and thought you were writing a song, but that wasn't the case.
No, I was actually writing one of those letters. I was in it, and it's just like, as a writer, when you find you're in, you just have to write.
So all right, so let's talk about that. What is it? An apology or a forgiveness letter?
Okay, so there are different steps in the forgiveness letter. Well, there's different steps. When you grab that mic and
I'll tell you, hold it. Put on your left thigh. Or right in there like that.
Big old thing right there.
Right in there, and then make sure. Right. There you go. You're talking. There you go. Perfect.
Now I'm talking into this.
No, but you know how it is. Like, the forgiveness and stuff. Like, there's different things that we figure out in life, and I think that forgiveness is one of those toughest aspects of life that people can, they can handle. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I go back in the past and I just think about when someone did me dirty and whatever. And Anthony, this is perfect. He would witness. Like, me. Like, sometimes I gotta.
List some stuff.
Remember he's a friend that told me that, Chris, you can't do things for people and then have like this checklist in your back, and then when someone doesn't, you'd be like, dude, I did this. Like, that's the friend that taught me about me on that aspect. So like, we're friends. We're real friends. He's teaching you about yourself.
You can't keep score.
Right.
Can't keep score.
So
no.
Can't keep
Especially
score.
when you get married. Right? Because you would constantly lose.
But does it seem
My
like
wife is up like 1,000 to 2?
Does it seem
1,000 to 1?
Does it seem like though that there's one person in the relationship that keeps score and the other one that doesn't?
Yeah, I mean
it's kind of interesting.
It wasn't a big problem. It was a conversation we had one time. But
that's when things were going really. But bottom line, it was an aspect of me, and I had to come to grips and be honest with myself and be like, yeah, I do that, and I understand that when I give, there is an expectation. There's like I just want people to appreciate it, and if I don't feel appreciated, and it's an insecurity within myself,
right?
Of like,
that's why you go up on the stage every night.
So therefore, that's when I'm like, I realized in the past, like, there are some people who may have did whatever, just for my growth, not to be the victim, just for my personal growth and for me to reflect on who I am. So that's why I think it's important for me to do these forgiveness letters, to forgive within myself, forgive them for what they did. So I have to go back and literally think of those moments, as if I was telling that person what you did. It was like Billy Madison. Sorry I did that to you. You know what I mean? Like, just say you did this. This is what happened to me. It wasn't cool. Forgive them for what they did, and not even give it to them.
Oh, because that was going to be my question. What do you do with it?
You read it and you keep it, and I bless it, and I say thank you, God, for letting this go. I don't want this anymore. I'm getting it out. I'm getting this out because it's in your head.
A little ceremony surrounding it.
Almost like to a degree. I mean,
do you light it on fire at the end?
I thought about that shit. What do you
think? With a candle in a dark room.
Should I put lipstick on my face?
Goodbye.
And burn it into the ether.
So this is.
What would you do? Would you burn it?
I would just do the whole thing on Facebook Messenger with emojis. Sorry, dude. Peace sign.
Grr, angry, cursing, tear, peace, dancing.
When did you write your? Do you remember your first apology letter? Or I mean, sorry, forgiveness.
Yes, the first letter was a week ago. There was a girl I dated. I'm going to leave the names alone.
Oh, so this isn't something that you started like as a child, and this is something you do every now and again.
This is me getting divorced, me losing my brother and best friend, me having and acknowledging the pain that I'm in, and thinking about how that the chase stuff has happened, and now I'm back at that door where I really truly belong and want to be with the music, and know that if I don't come to grips with the past and the people and so on and so forth, that I won't be able to enjoy these next part of my life. So I'm giving myself a year, because Ernest was 39, his birthday was the 27th, would have been 40. So this year I'm going to give myself a year to really heal, shine, all the things that I want to do within myself, that learn different language, all those things, and go from there. And I'll feel like, when it's my time to step into mastery time, I'll be together. So that's what this is. That's what started the whole thing. It's just,
dude, what if you just wrote one long letter?
A blanket
apology. Just one letter, one apology letter, and then you'd be done with it. Then you light it on fire with the candle.
But I can't just do one, because it's like that's it. Almost is one huge long letter to each individual. Yeah.
Well, I saw the one
he's trying to make it.
Yeah, I saw the one he was working on yesterday, and it was one of those long yellow Lego pads, and he was at the bottom of it when I glanced over.
In it, man. Just like
you wrote it.
Like once you get in, and you can't stop, man. You're in it, man. Like so that was.
This wasn't on a laptop or anything like this.
Handwritten.
Yeah, like you get that energy and get it out. Like get it out.
I picked up a pencil a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Ooh, I forgot how to write." Oh, man. I was like, "Is this my left hand?"
Wait, what do you think about? What do you think about them not teaching kids cursive anymore? Did you hear about that? They're not teaching kids cursive anymore. How to write in cursive. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I just talked to a high schooler a couple weeks ago that said they don't take typing classes. They do everything on tablet, and I'm thinking, how would you ever?
That's weird.
How would you ever write a paper?
I'll answer that question.
Wow.
I never learned how to type in school, even taking typing class. It wasn't until these devices started. Yeah, it wasn't until my 30s. Yeah, my 30s, and all of a sudden it was kind of keep up or fall behind, and so I do not have a proper typing skill, but I can get it done.
Yeah, but think about it, there's no cursive. So if there's no cursive, what if at some point I know what you're saying, like we don't even need writing anymore. Everything's just going to be.
It'll be an elective. It'll be in 50 years. It'll be like some type of ancient study course.
Right, like it would be us learning Latin.
Yeah. Cursive.
Yeah, Latin. Like, dead language, cursive, dead hand. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
How many of these letters have you written in just the last couple weeks?
2.
2. Okay.
They're very draining, man. Like you got to go. All right, so
are you telling the story? I mean, I know this is very personal and it's very raw. Are you recounting the story? Are you telling it in third person?
No. I'm going to say this. And in my last relationship, I did some things that was out of character, and when I was just honest with myself, I was able to go back and see. I did that same thing at 17. And then I was able to stop and go, okay, what was that? And now I've really looked at, as a man, looking back at that and being like, wow, I remember what happened here, which is why I was almost stunted to do similar things. So now I'm like, I got to go back to this time, to those people. I was dating their daughter when there was a situation that was not cool, that I got ostracized. I mean, I got the woo, and it was as a kid, I didn't, but then looking back, like, you understand, I was shamed as if I did something that I didn't do, and ran through that and like felt like man, like,
so this wasn't something that so this was something that happened back in the day that you felt the shame for, but it wasn't.
But at the end, no, it wasn't really on me, and so to look back and be like, man, so now I'm going, hey, I want to these people, I dated you, and this happened, and you guys did this, which led to that, and then I also found out later that you said this in a situation when I'm not even. So you have some hate towards me of something that you guys had a hand in. 1, 2, it's that kind of, we're going deep. So now I have to be like, listen, I forgive you. And I've never, because that's like, yo, there were years of situations and I run into people and be like, man, like, and so you look at it and you're like, yo, I gotta forgive myself for that, and that's when I stop. Okay, so if I did that, then let me go through the whole gamut of my life and all the people, and so I can just come to peace and be in a different space.
I admire this so much. I am so effed up. I do something similar, but I go back to those moments and try to figure out a way to make them all my fault.
That's a good thing.
Oh, your fault.
Yeah,
well, I say fault.
I go back to these moments to try
ownership in what you did, not fault. Just ownership. And I tell this to people. People are like, oh, well, it's 50-50. No, dude, I'm 100% a person, and there are no victims and villains in my life or in anyone's life. So everything that happens, is a direct result of my thinking and acting in that. So I say taking responsibility, accountability, but not fault. That puts it at a negative, like, you bad. I don't.
Points a finger.
Right. See, now this is great. You go ahead. I call this dude a lot when I've got issues.
Well, I'm super interested. So you're getting hypnotized. Is that what I heard correctly?
I am not. This particular therapy. Here's the only thing I know about the therapy. She doesn't like what I say, call it trick the brain, but it's a visual stimulant kind of thing where they're waving their hand in front of your face to stimulate. It's going back and forth to trigger something in this hemisphere and this hemisphere and da-da-da-da, while they're having you. Actually, it's not. I don't want to misrepresent what they do.
See, there's a whole practice of they're doing it on soldiers.
Yeah. This is called accelerated resolution therapy. That's accelerated resolution therapy. And
I don't think I've heard of that. So, and it's supposed to stimulate the brain to do certain things.
And so I don't know if you go back and when you're reliving that traumatic moment or something, they do this so then your brain reacts differently when this memory comes back. I'm not sure. I'm going to find out next Wednesday. And I don't know if it's in the hypnotic therapy spectrum or not. So I'll find out more about it coming up next week. But if you want to look them up online, track them down online. ART International Training Research.
I read a book once called Many Lives, Many Masters by a therapist, psychiatrist named Brian Weiss.
Was this the fiction?
No.
It was like written as a story?
No, this is very real.
Okay.
Right? So what happened was, I thought I told you about it. What happened was, so this is
I've heard about it before.
All right, so the premise is this. There's a doctor who is in medicine, Harvard, just very excellent, gifted, had a son at a young age. The son died, and all the medicine couldn't save the son. So the father then went into therapy because, I'm going to help people because medicine, medicine, right?
Okay.
So then he goes into therapy and then goes into like hypnotherapy, right? The idea behind hypnotherapy, for those who are curious, they go back into the past. You find the point of origin to whatever issue that may be troubling you, and then they kind of
no. That's not hypnotherapy. That's past life regression.
Oh, well, they'll use
hypnotherapy to get you
right. So this is what Brian Weiss is into. Okay. So that's why I was wondering if it was the same thing. So in Many Lives, Many Masters, basically what happened was he hypnotized this woman, and she went back into multiple lives. Reincarnation, was talking about him so extensively, like just very vivid. This is where I'm at. This is the year. This is what, I mean, like she went and they recorded it, and this guy's been on Oprah. It's just it's an amazing situation. So that's why I was wondering, like, that's what you were doing. I'm like, man, that's phenomenal.
No. And I personally don't believe in that past life regression stuff. That's the way that what we know about our brains neurologically, we know, and psychologically, we know what we're capable of, our imagination's capable of. And so to me, these are stories that we are making up as we
you should read this book. It's your best friend telling you. You should read the book.
All right.
Just telling you.
You listen to it.
All right.
Yeah, right. That's how it's gonna be. Like, right? No cursive, no writing, audiobooks. We don't read anymore.
Well, like if we start going down the path talking about past lives and is there reincarnation and this and this and this, then I'm gonna throw that bomb immediately and go, well, the way I see things is more is everything is happening at one time. So even if you are sensing a so-called past life, it's not. It's just a parallel life that's happening right now that your brain might, to try to make sense of things, put it in a linear, way to compartmentalize it. So it seems like a past life or something like that. But it's just that all the possible lives that you could be living right now are happening right now.
This is interesting because the three of us.
Is it, Chris?
No. But the three of us are so much alike and all have different views of that whole thing, man. Like, I believe in God hardcore. You don't believe in God, right?
I'm comfortable not knowing.
Right. And
I don't know.
Well, but what do you mean by God, though? Because I feel like when we have a discussion about God, then we got to go, what do you mean by God? Are you talking about the Christian God, the Jewish God, Muhammad's God, the one of 33 million gods that the Indians, or not, I don't think you call them Indians, Hindu, the Hindi. Have the
flying spaghetti monster.
The flying spaghetti monster, which, by the way, is a great.
Is that what from the Scientologists that they have a
Zenith? So this is I don't know if this is the exact story, but there was an atheist father who was tired of, I guess, the other kids celebrating certain things in school. So he made his own religion, and he got a lot of backing behind it. It's called. They worship the flying spaghetti monster, and they call themselves Pastafarians. And they are a recognized religion now, like a recognized, because this guy, like,
right above your head, Chris.
This guy went straight to government and got it. There it is.
The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, after having existed in secrecy for hundreds of years, came into the mainstream just a few years ago.
It's interesting, man. This guy.
Well, it's funny because one of the ways that I visualized everything, and this made me laugh once because I knew of the flying spaghetti monster, thing, and in kind of combining string theory with other all of a sudden I laughed one day because I kind of visualized this being that looked like a big bowl of spaghetti, because of string theory, whatever. And so,
was it the middle of the night and were you hungry?
I'm sure.
Oh, spaghetti monsters! Give me a fork.
And then all of a sudden I have a visualization of the Reese's Pieces monster that came right after it. But,
the Holy Trinity: spaghetti, meatballs,
Reese's Pieces,
and cheese.
So, Chris, when you talk of God.
Yes.
When you speak of God, are you talking about the Yahweh?
I'm talking about the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm thinking the universe. I feel like the creator of it all.
Okay. Now, who created the creator?
That's a good spot.
And so here we go. The point of origin. Do you know there has to be a point of origin, right?
I would assume.
Okay.
No. These are.
Well,
here we
yeah,
go.
you can't.
This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we humans do.
But
we all agree. Oh, there's got to be a point of origin, and then we take our theory from there. But we have to come back to that point of origin. We have to talk about this point of origin because we all just made an assumption that there was one singularity, and if we can just bring it all back to the singularity, then we can answer everything.
See, and that's the thing. It's like, but what? How else? Okay, we could intellectually say. One or two or three, we could do all of that. I'm just saying from the point of origin aspect, let's start a beginning. Things do begin and things do end. That is, we see that in life. So in the beginning, we may not know what the beginning is, but we know that everyone's here. And I see magic. Look, at the end of the day, the three of us are sitting here on the radio, and were we not talking about this years ago? That's some kind of magical thing, man. I can't explain it, but
The
here we
secret to
are.
the secret, manifesting your own destiny.
And so, and hey, I think it's all a part. I think it all kind of ties in together, man. Like,
and that's another
I don't
thing.
know.
Sometimes I'd like to say, exclaim that I believe in magic. And I mean, you can believe in magic. The manifestation of something out of nothing. That I go, well, if we go back to this origin thing, and there was a beginning, well, then there was a point when there was nothing. And so everything came from nothing, which to me is when I say magic, I'm not talking about just spells and which
Right. I think
I'm
cell
talking about
phones are
manifesting
magical.
something out of nothing.
Yeah, like a cell phone is magical.
But you don't
mean,
have
like-
to. I don't think you have to understand it past that, because in a speech, Christopher Hitchens talked about talking to a child, and the child asked him, where did we all come from? Like, where did everything start? And he said, well, imagine there's a big suitcase, and it's open, and you take all of the time, space, and energy that exists. That's planets, that's everything that we know, that's time, energy, and space. That's everything. And we cram it into this suitcase, and then we shut it. So the Big Bang was that suitcase flying open.
Right.
And every time, space, and energy flying out. So the little kid said, well, what was on the outside of the suitcase? And to me, you can't know that. We can't know that. So I think it's good enough that we've taken it back to the suitcase. Past that, for me personally, I don't need to assign anything.
And for a lot of people, they don't need those answers. They feel it within themselves. They know what they know, and that's good enough for them.
See, I think that answer comes after death. I think the is not is. I think, the dichotomy that we live in, up and down. I feel like we're in this experiencing life, and none of us know. But I feel like we all know that there's a death, and none of us know what really happens after that. So what if just in that is when we do actually find out?
Possibly.
So while we're here,
as you're going from one existence to the next, is when it's kind of revealed to you.
Maybe.
Hey, this is how it works.
Right.
Oh shit, I knew it. And then it's too
Right.
late. It's erased.
But that's the thing, and that's when they talk about reincarnation. They say, once you know, well, then how would a spirit grow? Once I know that, you only know it from experiencing. Like, I don't know what 40 is like. I know what 15. I know 25 ego. I know all that. So if I
you'll know
that
40
now,
before you know it, jerk.
But so what I'm saying is, once I pass, when I pass away, like, and that's where they talk about why there's reincarnation. This is why they say why there's reincarnation, because once you now know you did things on this, but you can come back again and grow from that.
My
and
answer?
come back again and grow from that.
My answer, the reason that there may be the possibility of reincarnation is because of the fundamental law of nature that you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So once something exists, once your soul comes into existence, that's it. It's going to exist in one capacity or another forever.
A soul, but that's assuming that a soul is something that can contain and maintain consciousness outside of the human body. And,
right.
You hear lots of, I don't even, past saying we don't know what happens when you die. There's really nothing else you can say. Well, there's this guy that almost died. Well, he didn't die.
Right.
Near-death experiences. Well, they weren't dead. I mean, they weren't. You're dead when you're dead.
But to talk about near-death experiences, bring it back to Many Lives, Many Masters, the one thing that they kept talking about is every time this person died in those past lives, she kept repeating the same thing, which thousands of people who've had near-death experiences or died at one point and came back that I've actually spoken to, they all said the same thing. They saw their body was floating, and they looked down the whole. And that's interesting that that's the same story that I hear all the time.
Do you think
when
maybe
someone
that
does.
the brain shutting down and oxygen and blood stopping going to the brain has a very similar neuropathic process of shutting down that to me that's more plausible than trying to, because you can get me there.
Right.
We can get each other there, but you got to take a pretty big leap to get anywhere outside of.
And also when it comes back to your point too about you know enough. We've gotten back to a sliver of 0.00001 seconds in this universe that we exist in. That's good enough. I can move on with my life.
But let me go further about
man. Who wants to? That's all your time, right? I mean, that's your.
I don't have kids. That's why I spend way too much time focused on that crap, driving myself insane.
But one thing that you're talking about, like the brain squeezing out, the lady then says that she goes to a place, and there's a waiting place, and there are other souls there, and everyone's just waiting, and no one is speaking, and they're just waiting, and there's a bunch of them. And what they were talking about is how people they come back down here together, like a group, like we met around the same age, and we hey, I'm trying to do this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this. When we come back, we fulfill whatever it is we're trying to do.
So
and
our
to
souls
assist
were all
each other.
chilling in heaven, not talking to each other.
That spot is the waiting place. That's not in heaven. But again, it's the communication apparently supposed to be different because we talk. But like, think about it. They talk about like listening more. Like Aborigines speak telepathically. So they say in heaven, it's not. It's just it's a feeling. It's a thought. It's
they say.
The things that I've read, I know. And like I say, we won't know until we get there. But at the end, I feel like some of that comes for our comfort in our brain. Like I've just decided to say that there is a God from what I've come to do. So I've decided to think that there's a heaven. I've decided to not believe in hell, and it's just made me think the way that I am. And I have
so there's a
fear.
perfect place, but not the equal and exact opposite of the perfect place. So there's a heaven, but not a hell.
I think hell is here.
This is it.
You think this is hell?
I think that hell is the direct result.
Have you ever picked up an iPad?
I think.
I mean, this world is awesome.
I think that hell
fly through the air in a metal.
I think that hell is the direct result of your thinking that does not line up to who you truly are in your spirit. So when I've made mistakes, takes that I knew was beneath who I was, let's say I was flirting with someone I should have been flirting with, or whatever it may be, I feel like the result of after that, the consequence brings you thus the word hell. And I'm in it right now.
I thought you said you didn't believe in hell.
I said I think hell is here. And
well, then you believe in hell.
But not the hell that people think there's a place where you go when you're burning. I'm not saying that.
That was just our ancestors trying to explain to our dumber ancestors that if you don't do what you're supposed to, it's going to suck. You know, kind of like burning forever.
Right. And I'm saying to you, I feel like hell is here, and it's just the direct results of the consequences of the actions.
I think we're just assigning titles or
words to understand the theories and concepts.
Yeah. It's more of a conceptual thing at this point, where you go through a little bit of hell today. You know what I mean? When something happens, but
this place is amazing. It's heaven and hell. It's amazing. No one wants to die.
That's the way I see it, Chris.
No one wants to die.
This is heaven. This is heaven and hell layered on top. Boom. And kind of like Chris was saying, depending on the choices you're making, or you're vibrating within who you're supposed to be, and you're more in a peaceful heavenly place. And the more you kind of get out of sync with God or the universe, the more you're into that hellish place.
Which goes back to what we were talking about. Did I tell you about the new title of the album I'm working on? Between 6 and 12.
Thriller.
Between 6 and 12.
That's a catchy thriller.
You should run with it, man. You should. I'm telling you, I've been sitting on that one for years. If I ever do an album, it's called Thriller. 2 words: thrill her.
That's tougher. That's a tougher album to write than you.
I can't even talk about between
imagine.
6 and 12 now because I have to.
I'm sorry. Oh no! Go ahead and explain. Go ahead and explain what your next album title.
So between 6 and 12. So Wayne Dyer.
Then slow down when you speak. When you have a tendency to get really fast
when I get excited. I know.
It's called Between 6 and 12.
Between 6 and 12. So Wayne Dyer was explaining like life. If you think of it as a clock, right? So you have 12 all the way to 12. And so when the minute hand is at 12, that's when you are most together with who you are. You're in. The clock goes down to 3. You're starting to step away from who you are, right? Life gets a little more difficult. And then it goes down to 6. And that is when you are the complete opposite from who you know yourself to be. It's when life is the hardest, when people get sick, people die, suicide. It's just that. And then that time moves forward and it gets to the 9. You're getting closer to returning to who you are. And so, but again, life is always moving forward. So the clock is always moving forward, so it doesn't go backwards. And so my album is I am between 6 and 12.
All right, you're on the way up. You're on the upswing, is what they say. That's going to be the name of my next album, Upswing.
I'm like 230.
You can short that album title and just call it 8. Somewhere between 6 and 12.
I'm 11:45. I'm almost there.
11:59 to 59.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it was a pleasure to have you guys in today.
It's been fun.
Chris McCarty, thank you so much for coming in.
Always.
Anthony, thank you so much for coming in. You guys have a great weekend. I got to get on the road and head to Orlando. For those of you that will be running in the Best Damn Race tomorrow, I'll be the guy at the finish line going, congratulations.
And I will be at the 10K, Skyway 10K in at Tropicana Field on Sunday.
Oh, that's this weekend?
That's this weekend. So I will be the guy playing music Sunday, 7 a.m.
Look, yeah, we're both doing races this weekend.
Hey. I'm saying start. You're saying finish.
And neither one of them running in one.
Not a running in a damn thing.
Yeah, I'm at the start finish line. I'm at the beginning, going, letting everybody. I'm giving people advice. Don't forget to hydrate. Make sure you breathe. Stay within your own tempo. yet, I don't run for nothing. The cops could be chasing me. A bulldog could be chasing me. I'm just falling.
You got me.
I'm falling down. I'm not going to break a sweat if I don't have to. So. All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll do this again on Monday. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, people. Peace.